Alright, welcome back everyone. This is going to be the speedrun guide for book percent for Chapter 3. Chapter 3 is where the game starts being a little more mean with where they put their books. Finding a book in plain sight is not going to be really a thing in this chapter. It's going to be hidden all over the place, and they're going to put them in really dumb spots. But, that being said, let's get going. And speaking of really dumb spots, you have to immediately turn around. Head over to where the cloakroom entry is, break this pot to grab the book. That is a book that I have forgotten a couple times. I'm not gonna lie to you. Alright. So, this is a room that puts you in kind of a weird situation. Because the ideal situation is to not have to get the fourth check. But in this situation, you almost kind of want the fourth check. Not on the basis of losing time, on basis of the book location. So normally what I say is if you have to get the fourth check, you have to grab this box and throw it all the way down. You have to come over here anyway, because the book is against this. So as soon as you get the key, head over to that, and then leave the room. If you end up getting the fourth check and needing that, still want to grab the box, pick up the book. As soon as you pick up the book, get back to the door, just walk back to the door and throw it from there. Crivens Quarter is an interesting scenario, because this is one of the only instances in the entire game where a cutscene plays and you are not immediately kicked out of the room. So this cutscene is going to play, but you're not going to be kicked out of the room. So you saw I grabbed the challenge complete cannon, but I still don't have the book. As I said, there is a second part of this room on the other side of this cutscene. So, we're going to let this cutscene play, then we're going to grab the book, then we're going to leave. You can theoretically grab it during the challenge. I would not recommend doing so, because that is going to lose a bunch of time. Because where you spawn in after this cutscene ends is going to be significantly closer than grabbing the book, and then going back to the challenge complete cannon. So, we're going to get done with this cutscene. And what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the bed area on this side of Criven's. We're going to bust his nightstand open, and we're going to grab his book. And then we are just going to leave the room. In the last video, I stated how they really decided to be mean. Chapter 3 is where they really get mean with the whole put a book in an enemy thing, because they put it in the 3 worst enemies in the game. Spoilers for later on. So, yeah. This is another book that, if you do cutscene percent, you will automatically find, because you'll hear the noise once you kill the warlock. Because he has the book, so we need to get rid of him. Which is fine, because that's the normal third condition of the room anyway. So, it's not out of the way. The one thing you're looking for is you do want... normally you want to end by the door. You want to adapt that, and you want to be close to where he dies. Because you want to kind of close as much distance as you can from the location of the book. The ideal situation is the warlock ends at one of these 2 spawn points, so that you're not too far from the exit. But obviously it is random, so there's not a whole lot you can do with that. But defeat the warlock. Once you kind of defeat the warlock, make your way over to where his body is before the challenge complete cutscene plays, and then just grab the book, head out, and go from there. Alright. So this is, once again, this is safe strat versus aggressive strat. If you don't feel safe doing what I'm about to do, grab the invisibility can, it's perfectly fine. Come up here, we're going to do the same thing we did but this time instead of taking a left or taking a right, you're going to take a left. You're going to head up these stairs. And the reason we come up the left path is there's a turbo right here. You're going to grab this. You're going to go all the way up to the Baron's door. And it's just going to be chilling outside the door. Once you have that, you're going to loop all the way back around to the exit. And just go from there. You do not have to worry about the pirate zombies. They will not activate unless you hit them. Now for a room that, when it comes to books, is pretty infamous because the game thinks it's funny. I am going to get rid of this for the books, just because I'm doing a demonstration. Normally you don't need to get rid of them, but I'm still going to. So normally you come over here and get that. You're going to come over here to where all these books are that you can't have, that I've just noticed are in the question mark. Just noticed that. You're gonna break this vase open. I've never noticed it's in the shape of a question mark. I've never noticed that. Grab the actual book in question and leave. Yeah, you learn new things every day. Okay. The bathroom. Depending on how things go, it's gonna kind of start depending on when you pick the book up, based on how the room itself goes. And there's going to be a lot of portions in that that are going to be like that. Will you? No? Okay. That's fine. I was hoping to get the hitbox on that, but I didn't, so it's fine. Alright, so we're going to start the room as normal, just because this did go well. And I'm going to do something I probably shouldn't, because it is a little risky. Alright, Turbo, Oko. Grab this. This. I'm not going to get that in time, so it's fine. You will notice there that despite the fact that I used a weapon, the Reaper did not spawn. In certain circumstances... Where are you going to go? You're going to be... I'm going to wait for you to actually leave. In certain circumstances, if you kill the last enemy and yet still break a rule, sometimes the game will just be nice to you and not summon the Reaper because it will override the completing of the room. The toilet's going to have the book. Just be careful not to... If you want to play it safe, wait for the Medusa to kind of get out in the front area. Because if you let her stay in kind of this front area, you can get trapped in this area. So, kind of play that with caution. Alright. The schoolroom is going to be pretty much identical to cutscene, just with a little bit of an extra step. So you're still going to throw in the same spot. And you're going to pick up the book, and then pick up the invis. This is another book that, should you be doing a regular run, you may end up picking up. Alright. But yeah, once you got the book, you're just going to leave the room and be good to go. Alright, into the infirmary, and unfortunately, this room is going to make you play pretty much roulette to get the book. So we're going to do the same normal strat. We're going to grab the bottles to kill the Medusas. Once we have that done, we will deal with the book in just a second. That's the wrong button. There we go. Alright, so what you're going to be stuck doing, what the game's going to force you to do, you have to run into one of these. You cannot hitbox your way through this. You have to pick one and tank it. The best case scenario is Energy Zapper. The worst case scenario is Slow-Mo Goop. Reverse controls is... It depends on how well you deal with reverse controls. Okay, guess it's gonna make me test how good I am with reverse controls. Because it's over in this corner here. But once you have it, make sure you go exactly the same way you came. That way you're not running into the other one. Like I said, Energy Sapper is the best case scenario there. Slow-Mo Cooper is the worst. This. I forgot about this. This book has caused me pain. Not physical pain. But this book has hurt me. And I always used to remember that this book was just, you know, just another kill an enemy easy. No, I've learned of an unfortunate glitch that occurs in this room with this book specifically that I do not like and I do not appreciate. And it has given me a disdain for this room that I didn't know I needed. This vampire has the book. What you have to do is you cannot kill a vampire with a squirting gun. Holy water doesn't do anything with a vampire, which is funny because it's a vampire. But you know, it's fine. You have to trade it in for the garlic gun. Then you can kill the vampire. At this point, it's not that one, it's this one. I'm going to pause this right here and make something perfectly clear. Do not, under any circumstance, let the vampire die on one of these stumps. What I mean by that is you can hit the vampire into the... Well, first off, you gotta keep track of which vampire it is, which is problem number one. The more important problem is if I can do this correctly and die, apparently. Okay, I thought I was good at this game. Apparently not. You have to make sure that the vampire doesn't die on the stump. And I don't mean land, I mean the final hit that kills the vampire the body cannot land on the stump. If the coffin lands on the stump, the book will despawn. It will be unobtainable, and you will not be able to pick it up without exiting the room. There is a video on my channel specifically showing what happens when you do exactly what I just said, where you have the coffin die on the stump. Okay. I don't like this room anymore for that exact reason. Also, this room's a bit chaotic when you start having to deal with a vampire. Okay. There you go. So, keep track of the one that was on the bottom of the hill, not the top, because that's the one that has the book. Just do not let that vampire die on a stump, or the book will go into the stump and it will be unattainable. This is one of the few rooms in Chapter 3 where they're like, we'll give you the book in plain sight, it's fine. Alright, we're gonna come over here. I was trying to avoid that, but that's fine. Come over here. Take the normal route. Hang a left to grab the book. Kill the chicken, maybe. At some point today. And then leave the room. So, just instead of taking an immediate right when you get to the second vampire and kind of the inner pass, take a left to go along the pumpkin patch to have the book in between the pumpkins. Alright, into the potting room. And what we're going to do is, this doesn't change too much. We're going to grab this. We're going to grab our turbo. We're going to grab our CC. We're going to break this pot. And then we're going to start the challenge. And what we're going to do is we're going to grab the book on our way to pick up the challenge complete can. So you still want to deal with the chickens first, get the Reaper in play, do all that fun stuff. hopefully get rid of you. Grab the book, grab the challenge complete can. At this point, you're just doing the room as normal, dealing with the Reaper and the Hunchback. I am genuinely shocked they didn't decide to think they were funny to put the Hunchback inside the book. Or the book inside the Hunchback again. Because I'm gonna be real, that feels like something they would have done. I am on the wrong side of the door here. There we go. Alright. And we should be able to get out without too much issue. Maybe? Okay, there we go. Cool. Okay. Back to the greenhouse. So, and just clarified, in case you missed it, you'll grab the invisibility can and the turbo, activate the CC, grab the book is in the pot to the right of the riddle. So just make sure to grab that, because you don't want to miss any books, ideally. Into the greenhouse. This one's out of the way, but it rewards you for going out of the way, if that makes sense. I'll explain what I mean in a second. So we're going to take the normal route that we normally take. Normally at this point we take a right. You don't want to hang a left. I'm going to see if I can do this. If you can kick an enemy into it, you can break it early. Grab the book, and then you're given a turbo, which you can use to then get out of the room just a little bit faster to kind of make up some time. Alright, back into the Dunfiddlin Cottage garden. And this book's not so bad, but this is another one that you can forget. So I do want to be careful with this one. And the reason I say that is once you get into that fenced area with all the worms, you cannot get out of it. The only way you get out is beating the challenge in the room. You need to be sure that you are not grabbing or going into the fence, not going into the fenced area until you have the book. Or you will end up hurting yourself. You're going to want to go past the gate, take a right here, and it's hidden behind a bush. Then you can go into the fenced area, the fence will shut, you'll be good to go. Start the room normal, as normal, and then go. Alright, let's see. Next to me. Turbo. I'm just going to tank that hit like I normally do. There we go. Alright. And then that's that. Alright. Moving on to the Dunfiddlin Cottage. This is a whole additional extra step. So the book's in here. The problem is, this doesn't open until you get to the second challenge. So it's going to be a minute until you even have access to this. So what you have to do is you have to deal with the Warlock portion first. So do the normal cutscene route that we normally do. There's the toilet paper, which is nice. Break that. Alright, that's fine. Cool. I'm not going to grab the turbo, and there's going to be a reason for that. Just based on, like, spawn and everything like that. So I'm still going to grab the challenge complete can. We're still going to complete this first challenge. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the turbo now to finish them. Because what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing. We're going to hope that we don't get that. We're going to clear the room, and then we're going to get the actual book itself. So throw this backwards to kill 4. Kill this one, and then 1 extra. And then I didn't see it break. One thing you're going to want to do is break the chest next to the first one for an invisibility can. So once you grab this, we're going to grab the invisibility. We're going to grab the book, which now that this is accessible, grab the book, and then get out. Just make sure you're leaving before you get The ammo kept running out, or the Reaper will chase you down. Alright, moving on to the workshop. What is going to happen here? This isn't going to change too much. Realistically, this is going to be another room that you realistically will be able to find the book, because when you go to grab the freeze can in this room, it will become accessible. Okay, I thought I missed that for a minute. There are certain angles that if you throw the cursed mummy in the wrong direction or at the wrong angle, it will pop out the other side. And it's really annoying. So at this point, we're just going to do the normal 10% route of the game. Stunning, using the Mini Coopers, breaking everything here. Break that, and that should break the other one. Mini Cooper. Throw the plant. Alright. So at this point, you'll notice I still haven't grabbed the book, but there's a reason for that. I need to not do that. Right. Grab the trader, come over here, and it's going to be spawning in right with the invisibility can, or the freeze can. So, yeah, I need one of you to move. Thanks. Grab the freeze, grab the book, and you're good to go. Alright. And that is going to be that. We're just going to wait this timer out, and then we'll be good to go, and move on to the next room. Alright. The Farmyard. So, what I noticed when I started speedrunning this game, what a lot of people would do is they would spawn the book, deal with the worms, and then deal with the room. I do things a little bit differently. So the book's in that wheel. The problem, there's 2 worms in that wheel. What I do, grab this, do the room as normal, but when you grab the turbo and the O-cone, you're going to come back to this. And I'll show you why in a second. So we're going to get both of them out. Both the turbo and the Yoko. We're going to come back to the book. We're going to grab the book. And the worms can't outrun you. Because you have turbo, the speed differential is too high. So you can just leave the room. And that way you're not waiting 5 seconds and risking death with 2 exploding worms. The Foundry. So what we're going to do here is about halfway through the checks we're going to grab the book, depending on how things go. I am going to go ahead and try the overload, because it's fun. So we're going to check 1, 2... I'm actually just going to throw you with the fire, because I think it'd be funny. There we go. The book is in this thing. I don't know what it's called. If someone in the comments could actually give me the official name of that, I would really appreciate that. Because I do not know what that thing is called. It's a thing to keep fire alive, I just don't know what the name of it is. We're going to do that, get the key, and then once we have the book and have the key, we're just going to do the room as normal. Alright. Didn't get the overload, which is fine. I'm just going to stun the door. And that was the wrong enemy. That's the right enemy. There we go. So, yeah, it's just on the table with that little thing you use for a furnace. Again, if somebody in the comments could let me know what the actual name of that thing is, because I don't know off the top of my head, and I would kind of like to have that information. This room. Okay. Here's the thing with the book in this room. It is probably my most forgotten book out of any room in the game. Because I always tell myself that I'm going to grab it when on the way back, and I don't grab it on the way back. It's hidden, but it's not. But it's dumb, but it's not. So you're going to do the room as normal. You're going to get back to the riddle, and you're going to walk past it. That's not the right route. You're going to walk right past it. 4 times, actually. 2 on the way there, 2 on the way back. You're going to walk past this book multiple times. Really comes down to when you want to pick it up. It's right there. It is easier to pick up from this side than it is on the other side. If you think you're going to forget it, grab it before the challenge starts. If you think you can remember it, grab it during the challenge. For the purpose of not messing this whole thing up, I'm grabbing it now. But yeah, this is probably my most forgotten of all of them in all of my runs. This is the book that misses all of my runs. But, again, it's not a hard book, it's just one of those things that with the pressure of the room, if you don't grab it in the first portion, the stress of the room will just kind of make you forget, and it'll be not very fun. But, like I said, either grab it before you grab the riddle or after. What I will say is don't forget it. Especially if you have the Reaper in play, because if you have to double back to that location, you're dead. It's not going to go well for you. I've tried multiple times, it doesn't work. This is a very narrow space to work with. So yeah, run on out there if you're going on the way back. If not, grab it early. Either one is fine. Just don't forget it. But other than that, we're just leaving the room as normal. And that's that. I know I make it sound like it's a hard book, but when you're kind of in the middle of a speedrun, it can get lost. At least it does for me, because I'm so worried about like good timing and actually, getting out of the room. So it can be a bit of a pain. All right, back on the Foundry. I'm gonna grab this. We're gonna do our normal setup here, so we're gonna get the 4 imps out. So there's your 2 there, 3 there. 4th one here. Break the 5th one open, but it won't spawn. Alright. I think an imp just irritated a mummy, and I think he's about to just get obliterated. Alright, kill the 1st one. Kill the 2nd one. Kill the 3rd. Those kills came a lot quicker than I thought they were going to. But it's fun. Come over here to the 2nd check. That one's going to have the book. I'll grab the book and leave. If you want to break that open before you start the challenge, you can. Just know that if you've spawned the 4 imps, the book nor the cursed mummy will spawn until you are below the spawn limit. Just something to keep in mind. So it's usually easier once you've dealt with most of the imps, then grab it, because then it will then immediately spawn. Wonder why this enemy's sitting in the back of the room. Yeah! Remember I said they start sticking books in the worst enemies in the game? Yep, here's another one. Makes it even worse, you have to tank a hand in ground. You have to get that, or else you're going to be at this for a while. And I didn't actually do this room correctly. There's an Oko can here. I'm going to back up for a minute, because I forgot what I was doing. When you get to this point, break this open, there's a shocker blocker. That's going to make that makes it so you do not have to input the sequences, you can just mash your buttons. At this point, come over, deal with the hand and ground, you'll have it. Grab the one-hit wonder, turn around, get to the Jesse and Clyde. You are going to have to deal with one additional hand and ground, which is going to be this one. It is unavoidable, you cannot hitbox your way around it. you're going to want to input this earlier than you think. Because if that happens, you have to wait for the animation to end, and you can get unlucky. Try to buffer that attack and use the fact that Cooper is given a little bit of distance when he does those strong attacks to your advantage to try and get that kill before the Jesse and Klein turns red. Because if you mistime it after they turn red, your Oko is going to expire and you're not going to be able to use it. You're going to have to stun lock. And what I mean by stun lock is what will happen... Actually, let me show you. Let me fail this intentionally. Oh, wait. I can't do that! I can't actually fail this! Is there another enemy in this room? I don't think there is. I don't think there's a single other enemy in this room that could kill me. Crap. Yeah, there's not another enemy in this room, and because I picked up the chakra blocker, I'm not going to be able to fail one. That's irritating. Anyway, what you can do is you'll just beat on the enemy until you see the bats surrounding. Once you see the bats, they're in a stunned state, wait for that to end, and then do another set of punches. If you just don't do a heavy attack, you'll be able to slowly but surely chunk them down. I'm trying to think if there's even another Jesse and Clint that I can do that on. I might just have to come back. But it's fine. Woodshed! You know that thing I just talked about? We're putting a book in a stupid enemy? Yeah, they did it back to back. They did this garbage back to back. It's in this one. The problem is, this Medusa has a very erratic pattern. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. So wait till the bats are here. Wait for them to go. And you can just go again. And then you can literally just stun lock continuously. And they won't have an invulnerability period. They won't have anything. Well, unless I do that. But either way, you have to kill this Medusa. This is the one that has the book. Once you pick up the book, you will have everything you need. This room's just going to be pretty much as
Hey! Oh, yeah!
So let's get rid of the vampire. That's crazy. They got hit by that. Alright. Swing. Missed the swing. This is fine. Shoot the chickens. Get your super gun ready. And I got unlucky. I have to spawn another one in. I'll take you. Normally this does not go that bad, but it decided not to give me an extra one, which is fine. But it's more so the fact that Medusa's got the book than anything else, so. So, back of the garbage here. This is going to be one where you're not going to want to grab the book until after the challenge is done, because it's by the exit. So we're going to come over here, we're going to do our normal setup, we're going to grab a trash can to throw down that way to get all three. Just be sure not to go too close or you'll start the challenge early, which just kind of mess with some of the timings. Alright, at this point, we're just going to do the room as normal. So I'll come up to the end of this vent, throw, preferably without breaking a bunch of garbage, would be great, and missing a throw would also be great. Alright. I'm gonna help with this. Alright, so where the turbo was in the first visit is where the book is in the second. So you're gonna grab this, and you are going to immediately leave, because you do not want to die. Alright. The freezer. Back here again. This is going to be one that we're going to want to grab halfway through, or after the challenge has started. So, break this open and grab your turbo. Stun lock. Break your Oko. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to make your way over to the corner, the cooler that is on your right side of the screen. Over here, we'll have a mummy and the book. And now I've irritated the mummy, that's fine. There we go. And that's that. So, just make sure you grab that cooler.
Oh, yeah.
Once again, I will... it's that one right there in the corner of the room. And you're good to go. So, back into the kitchen. This is going to make use of a turbo that we don't normally use. Because the book is out of the way. You're going to come over here. You're going to get your turbo to get that speed boost to cut down the time. You're going to go back to where you came into the kitchen, all the way at the beginning of Chapter 2. The book's down here. And then you're going to leave the room. I should not have been caught by that, but that's fine. Alright, so once you have the book, just leave the room, no issues. Alright, this is another room because it's another Warlock room. However, this one's not in a Warlock again, they didn't do it twice. Lucky. What you're going to do is you're going to want to do your first checks. Do your second check. Your third check. If you don't have the Warlock by this point, that's fine. I'm going to do that. This one. This washer on the end, in the set on the right is your book. And then just keep doing your checks until you find the Warlock. If you find the Warlock before then, just at some point in the room, grab it. Go. I actually am going to make use of the fact that there's a second turbo. He's down at the other end of the hall. Yep, which is fine. Not going to be able to make that through. Alright, do that. Get my camera set again. Do that. Get my camera set one more time. And that's that. So yeah, it's just in that middle washer when you first come in. It's the far left washer on the right set. So when you come in, you're looking at these washers. It is this one right here that will contain the book. So, alright. This is another challenge. Or another room that gets a little more complicated. So normally we would double stack invisibility cans to leave. The problem is you saw the book on screen. And if you think you didn't, you did. You either understand what that means, or you don't. But you have seen the book on screen, despite the fact that there is not clearly a book on screen. Because the game likes putting books in horrible enemies. And now you should understand where I'm going with this. Alright, I am going to play this aggressive, and I'm going to try and get out of this section early. Where are you? Okay. If you can get that correctly, grab this, because this is going to do you a bunch of favors. You don't want to grab the invisibility can, because your book's right here. It's in the door. This as a knockdown can. I like using and throwing that because it does chunk down 15 health. And as long as you're somewhat quick with this, the Reaper should not catch up to you. Now that I've said that, I'm probably going to get caught by it, but it's fine. There we go. And you'll have, as long as you are decent enough with it, you'll have more than enough time to get that taken care of. I have to leave. But, if you don't feel safe doing that, and you would much rather use just your fist and not break the rule, you can just throw that pot against the wall. Just make sure the AoE breakage doesn't hit the door. Alright. this room is a waiting game. And that fact does not change. It just turns into a different waiting game. Instead of waiting by the door, you're going to wait by a turbo. And then you're going to grab the book before you leave. This is another book that pretty much everyone's going to know the location of. Because it is very clearly on screen. And you'll see why at the end of the room. Do not kill me. No, somebody needs to take a death, please. Alright, there we go. So what you're going to do is, we've got some time. Break this open. Deal with that scare. I want to keep eyes on the Reaper if we can. Break this. We're going to use this turbo to speed up getting out of the room. You're not going to want to grab it quite yet. You're going to want to grab it about 10 seconds left. I mean, not, probably less than that. Just to make sure you get full use of it. I'm going to grab it at 8. You just want to make sure you are standing right here at 0. And yes, I understand I am standing in the worst possible place because the Reaper's in the worst possible position. The book's right here. Grab the book and leave. Oh no. The reason we grab the turbo is to kind of speed up that process of getting out of the room. When I first got back into speedrunning or even playing this game around like 2015, 2016, this is a book that I could not for the life of me find. And I mean, I looked up guides, I looked up everything. I could not figure it out to save my life. And then I figured it out, and it's incredibly easy. This is why we skipped this. Alright, what you're going to do, it's just going to be like halfway through the room. You're going to come through here. You're going to hang on this left side, and it's hidden in this corner right here. Right before the TV. I'm trying to take a second shot. Cool, I got early breakage on that, which is nice. But yeah, it's just tucked away in a corner. Just know if you pass the TV, you've got to. And you need to go back a little bit. But other than that, real simple, easy, not too much of an issue. Alright, grand hallway. Normally we'd take a couple shots, clear out what we need to and leave. You need to kill all of the skeletons, because the book is going to be right in front of them. It's this bust right here. We'll have the book, and then you can leave. Alright. This is another book that, depending on where the Lorlock has spawned, you've probably seen before. Alright, do that. I'm actually just going to pop the book open right now. It's in the machine right before the exit. If the Warlock spawns there and you have to shoot him there, it will automatically come out. So, once we have that done, we're just going to grab the challenge complete can and get out of the room. Let's see if I can get... doesn't look like it did. There is a way, there is a lineup spot, I just don't have it down to where you can spawn the CC can without having to break it. Or before you're popped and it's taken away, I should say. Alright. Moving on to Krackpots. Krackpots is not... It can cause some problems. It's not the easiest book. Then again, this is not the easiest room. So, what we're going to want to do is I'm going to do the same starting point that we do, getting the cans, the skeletons, getting the Reaper spawned out. But once I have the vampire dead, I'm going to move to the book and then utilize a freeze key. And if you have difficulties with this room, with how I showed in the cutscene percent, this freeze can help. I just wouldn't recommend grabbing it until after the vampire has been defeated. So what we're going to do, we're going to do the same open that we normally do. We're going to break this open, get rid of the skeleton. Right? We want the Reaper in play as soon as possible. That's fine. Come over here, grab my turbo, grab my toilet paper, turbo, vulnerability, trader fever, go from there. Everyone's kind of in a good area, so I do like where everyone's at. That, I'm going to really want that turbo. And then we're going to grab the Reaper. That. Now I'm going to grab the turbo and the second invulnerability. I'm going to go back to where the Jessies and Clydes spawned, grab the book, and leave. And because I have invulnerability, I still have a fresh 20 seconds on it. I should have more than enough time to fight. Yep, with no issues. So, yeah, it's just in the cage, or in the safe area, where the Jessies and Clydes spawn in. If you don't like how that is, you can grab a freeze can that's in close proximity in the coolers, in that same area. There's only one place it can be. It's the same place you found the Warlock. You gotta get a bunch of stuff out of your way first. It's in the left locker. There we go. Just go ahead and grab it. I kind of bait him into getting it for me, and then you're good to go. The final room in Chapter 3 is going to be the Grand Hallway. This is going to be another book that you definitely want to grab beforehand. Because you don't want to have to walk your way all the way back to here. It's tucked behind this being the entry to the upper corridor. So, once you grab the book, you're just going to do the room as normal, no problems. So we're just going to get there, get the cutscene, read the riddle out loud, and defeat the Baron's door.
Huh?
Alright, so once this is over, we are going to get there taken care of.
Okay.
Alright, and at this point, we're just going to do the room as normal. Again, the safe strat's going to be the bottles in the base over on that side. If you want to do it a little more aggressive, a little quicker, do what I'm going to show you. Oops. There we go. Alright. Grab this. Start the room and get the door taken care of. Swing, he's going to do 3 bounces and then hop up. After that, you're going to swing again, and that's literally, there's a timing. You can abuse that timing. At this point, we're going to throw the base. Grab this. You do need to wait and see how he's going to, how the door's going to react. I'm not going to risk that. So do 1, 2, 3. Swing again. 1, 2, 3. That was a generous hitbox, because I definitely swung the wrong direction. Alright, and then just get the second part of this room done, and you're good to go, because like I said, we got the book much earlier than we... Nope, I'm not getting away from it. 11 seconds is really good, actually. And that's that. You're going to have to and then that's going to be in Chapter 3. And that is that. So that is going to be the end of Chapter 3. If you guys like this, let me know. If you find anything interesting, let me know. If somebody knows what the name of that thing is in the first Foundry, please let me know, because that's really bothering me. But, anyway, I will see you guys in the next video, and we'll go from there. Have a good one.